And we're back. Or should I say Shakur Stevenson is back. Shakur Stevenson, grand opening, grand closing. And then he's back to a grand opening. Shakur Stevenson has announced he plans to come back and fight in June, which means he's no longer retired. That's what I want to talk about in this video. Shakur Stevenson took to his social media and he posted, "I'll fight any and everyone. This is what I do. See y'all in June. Hashtag chasing greatness." This was yesterday, I believe, right? Somebody says, unretired, it ain't even been a month. Shakur Stevenson says, I know. He says, I know, right? Couldn't keep myself away from it. I love this ish too much. End quote. Now, I don't know anybody that actually believes Shakur Stevenson was retired. I know me, I can't speak for really anybody else, but I can speak for me. And I told you, I made videos about it. I said it was cap, and I really didn't like it. And I think this is part of this younger generation where this is the thing. And I'm going to take you back. So depending on your age, you might remember some of these things. If you're very young, then you won't remember some of these things. But I definitely see a difference in the younger generation, like 20-year-olds now and stuff like that. For example, this new generation, a lot of them, you know, depending on when they were born, they've never had to buy a CD before. Like in my day, we had to actually buy CDs, you know, and they even had CD singles. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember that? Listen, back in the day, they had CD singles where like Tupac, let's say Tupac hit 'em up. It would be like a couple songs, sometimes even one song and a remix. But the good thing about it is it would be like, let's say it was hit 'em up Tupac. It'd be Tupac hit 'em up, and then it'd be the instrumental to hit 'em up. So if you freestyled or something, you know, if you wrote to beats, you could write to the hit 'em up beat. And then a lot of times it'd be like, how do you want it? And then they would have like the radio version. Then they have a remix. So they gave you some options, but nonetheless, you had to buy an actual disc. You had to buy the CD. This new generation, they don't know about these things because in their life, you know, since their adulthood, since the age where they would probably consume music on their own, like hip hop or something like that, they've had the ability to stream it, right? And the problem with these things is it almost makes this new generation a bit spoiled. Everybody got they phones and stuff. I got the iPhone 15 Pro Max, brand new, you know what I mean? And with this information at our fingertips, everything is almost instantaneous, right? If you want to see what happened, who won an Oscar or a Grammy, you can get on your phone, get on your computer, get on your Surface Pro, get on your iPad, and you can instantly see who the Oscar winners or the Oscar nominees are instantly. Like you don't have to wait and watch it on TV or a newspaper, you know, things like that. So there's a lot of pros to this new society, and it's a lot of technological advances that other past generations, we are the most technologically advanced we've ever been. But with this new generation, I think the bad in it is even though the information at our fingertips, people are so used to reading the news. For one, people don't check it to see if it has continuity. People don't check it for accuracy. Somebody would be like, oh, Canelo's fighting Jaime Munguia. And then he's about to announce who he's fighting. By the time you guys see this video, he probably will have announced that he's fighting Jermall Charlo. But needless to say, some people were saying he's fighting Munguia. Some people were saying he's fighting Jermall Charlo, right? Some people were even saying he's leaving PBC and retiring. So we'll see what the actual news is. But you see the problem. and the dynamic. How is there Canelo news? And instead of just waiting for Canelo to say something, it's all this fake speculation and people making video. Oh, he's retiring on national TV. Why would he retire? It's not like he got beat up in his last fight. Or like, what would the retirement be? You know, I'm not Canelo. I don't know. You know, maybe I look dumb when this video comes out. I don't know. But I don't understand that. I don't see that. And back to the Shakur Stevenson thing with the instant gratification. That's what this new generation wants. They want everything quick. Again, when I was younger, we have to look in the newspaper to look at the movie listings. Y'all don't even know about these things. Like, we literally had to turn to a certain page in the paper, in the newspaper, look for the movie listing to see what time Rush Hour 1 or 2 came out and like what times it was playing. Or we'd have to call the movie theater and listen to a recording and write down the times. Now you get on your phone, you get on Fandango, and it's cracking. You don't have to wait for near nothing. You just do it. So back to the Shakur Stevenson thing, I feel like I understand he's frustrated, but it was a weird move to feign a retirement. Nobody believed you. What was the point in that? And that just looks dumb because you're coming back in June. And I'm glad he's coming back, for the record, because although his last performance was not my favorite, I'm glad he's coming back because he's young. You know what I mean? And he has a whole career ahead of him. So it would be stupid to truly retire when he has all that talent. And I can't speak for him, but I don't think he's accomplished exactly everything that he wanted to accomplish, especially when he was saying that he wanted to fight Tank and Devin Haney and stuff like that. You didn't do none of those things. So if you retired at 26, then it would just be like a career that could have been. You'd be like one of those hoopers, the NBA guys, where they got a bad accident or something and the world just has to guess of how good they could have been. Or like a Lynn Bias where he OD'd and then you never really got to see his greatness in the NBA like that. You know what I mean? This is Shakur with Vasily Lomachenko. So a lot of talent. Shakur has a lot of talent, a lot of skill. It would be dumb, in my opinion, for him to retire at this spot, accomplishing what he's accomplished and then calling it quits. So most people, or at least your boy Ego, because that's who I could speak for, didn't think this was a real retirement at all. So it gets to the point of like, what is this? Like, why did you do that? Like, frustration, I understand it, but there's different ways to deal with frustration. Some people, they deal with frustration by meditating. Some people deal with frustration by going for a jog. You're a fighter. You're a man. You must figure it out. I've been frustrated a lot of times. Sometimes I pour myself into my work and I make people pay and I make people regret doubting me or whatever I'm frustrated about. You know what I mean? So there's other ways to handle it, but it makes you look a little bit juvenile and almost like immature when you get frustrated at an early point in your career. The ups and downs are going to come. The peaks and valleys are going to come. And your end result is to, I'm retired because you didn't get your way. It makes you look kind of spoiled. That's my honest opinion. You know, Terrence Crawford, there was times where he was probably frustrated in his career, but he never pulled a stunt like that. Terrence Crawford, he was mad because he couldn't get PBC guys and he was signed with Top Rank and that type of thing. Every fighter goes through. You don't think Guillermo Rigondeaux was frustrated? He couldn't get Frampton, Quigg, Leo Santa Cruz. He couldn't get none of the name guys he was calling out. Top Rank was bashing him. Bob Arum, HBO, they throw up every time I mention Rigondeaux. He was bad mouthing him. He got blackballed after he beat Nonito Donaire. I mean, you don't think he was frustrated? You don't think Pernell Whitaker was frustrated when everybody knows he beat Julio Cesar Chavez and that could have done wonders for his career if he got the actual dub on paper, but then they lied and said it was a draw? You know, you don't think Edeslandi Lara and Triple G were frustrated knowing they beat Canelo? I mean, if this is what it takes to break you, that's my fear. Is this what it takes to break you and get you to call it quits and stuff? Like people mad at your last opponent with Edwin De Los Santos, your last performance. That coupled with Navarrete getting the title shot and Lomachenko fighting Kambosos, and that just sets you over. It makes me feel like this young generation, they got to toughen up, Buttercup. That's just what I feel, you know? And I'm not going to say a bunch of personal stuff and like this is like, I like there's a lot of people in the young generation that I like, but what I'm saying is you got to just stay the course. Jaron Ennis, he wanted to fight Errol Spence, no opportunity there. He wants to fight your boy, Shakur's boy, Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford was fronting him off and saying, oh, it's a lose-lose situation if I fight him. Why should I fight Boots? I want bigger and better things. He ain't on the menu. You know what I mean? So you don't think Jaron is upset hearing that? And then people calling him an email champ because of how he got the IBF, even though he wanted to fight the champion to challenge for the belt. You know what I mean? Frustrations in boxing, it's like peanut butter and jelly. They go together. Period. And if you're not equipped to deal with that, then clearly this is not the sport for you. So for me, I don't like to show too much weakness. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not trying to sound like uber masculine or whatever, but I just feel if you show vulnerability and weakness as a man too frequently, it definitely could be used against you. You know what I mean? I don't like when people see all my vulnerabilities and things like that. And I was raised like that. I was raised to deal with stuff like internally or keep the problems in the house, like in-house. You know what I mean? Like frustration, it just, like I said, it just makes you look kind of spoiled. You retire for literally a month. And then you're like, oh, I couldn't stay away. And then, like, to be honest, and I don't know if Shakur really even thought these things through, but Ryan Garcia, we'll use him as an example. He's done so many things and said so many things that his brand and his ability to speak freely, you know, it's freedom of speech, his ability to do such is now impacted because he's pulled out of fights with anxiety. He announced prematurely fights with Pacquiao, fights with Rolly, didn't happen. Said he was doing this and then went a different direction. Said and announced he was fighting Fortuna. Then he said he had anxiety, had to pull out. So it becomes the boy who cried wolf. And that's the same thing when you play with emotions or show too many emotions. It looks like the boy who cried wolf. Like, okay, so already Shakur has done something that a lot of fighters haven't done, which is fake quitting, you know, fake a retirement, which I knew was fake in the beginning. You know what I mean? So what happens if something, you know, you go to say something else and now people don't believe you because you just said you retired and then you weren't really retired. So you see how that like can damage. It's like the boy who cried wolf. That stuff can damage your future things. And you could be totally serious about the next thing, but now people might not believe you because of this stunt. You know what I mean? So I try to tread very lightly with that. Like, that's why I don't put out a bunch of fake news. There's a lot of YouTubers that put out like nonstop clickbait and a lot of fake news and stuff like that. And what you don't understand is it's like a crack in the windshield. At first, you know, it might be a little hairline crack, might be a little small crack. Doesn't seem like a big deal. But rocks continue to hit that windshield, over and over and over again. Before you know it, you're on the freeway, the glass might shatter. And I think that's how people's credibility works. At first, it might appear to be just like a little small crack in the windshield, no biggie. But over time, and with continued hits from little rocks and debris and semis kicking up, you know, rocks and shrapnel or whatever, that chip becomes bigger to the point where the windshield is weakened. And that's what I look at credibility as. That's why my credibility always intact. That's why when it comes to boxing ego, I'm that boy. You know what I mean? Like, my credibility ain't never been in question. Because again, there's a lot of YouTubers, they put out fake cap news and clickbait and all this type of stuff. And then over time, I feel like that weakens your stance. So I don't do a bunch of posturing and faking and playing in that regard. Like, oh, I'm retired, or I quit YouTube, and it's just a stunt. Like, I've even seen YouTubers do that, where they say like, oh, I'm not trying to do YouTube anymore, I quit. And then they come back. Like, I don't know. To me, that's kind of weak. That's my personal opinion, my personal taste. I wish Shakur Stevenson the best, but hopefully he considers these things next. Now, finally, I want to say Bob Arum did an interview where he says he fully expects Shakur Stevenson to re-up and sign with Top Rank long term. Going to be very interesting because the same people and the same company that you signed with, you were upset with because you couldn't get fights, and then the movement that you wanted, at least with like trying to fight Navarrete or Lomachenko or whatever, you're not getting. That all happened under the Top Rank umbrella. So do you sign to them straight away, or do you do what you said in the interviews, which is, I'm going to check out free agency and I want to hear from everybody? Because it seems like you would want to hear from everybody, given you were so frustrated to the point of feigning retirement. It seems like you would definitely want to hear from everybody and explore your options in free agency if you only have one fight left. But according to Bob Arum, he said he expects Shakur to be back long term with the company. Now, I'm not going to hold that against Shakur because that's one side of the tale. Bob Arum can say that. I don't know if Shakur didn't say that. So I don't know what his immediate plan is, but hopefully Shakur in the future just thinks about these things before doing that. Because, I mean, a month retirement, really? It's just almost like a waste of time. Like, you really wasted people's time because you were upset in the heat of the moment. And a man got to control his emotions a little bit better than that, in my opinion.